Another type of loop in Python is called the while loop. And just like the for loops, we use the while loops to repeat the execution of statements or code. To use the while loop, first, you are going to initialize a control variable. So here we're going to have something like count. You can use any name, but let's use the count. And I'm going to assign it to a value. Let's say we want to generate numbers from 1 to 5. I'm going to initialize this control variable to 1. So we can call this initializing control variable. Next, I'm going to have a while statement. Here I'll have the while keyword followed by a condition. So this condition could be a Boolean value or an expression that evaluates to a Boolean value. And in this case, since I want to generate numbers from 1 to 5, I'm going to have count less than 6. So this is a condition. The only way this loop is going to execute is if this condition is true. After the condition, I'm going to have a colon. Then I'll provide the statement. In this case, I want to print out the values. So I can have print count. So this is our while loop statement with condition. After this print statement, I'm going to increment or decrement the control variable. Since I want to generate numbers from 1 to 5, I'm going to be performing an increment. So here I'm going to have count is equal to count plus 1. In essence, I'm trying to add 1 to the current value of count. Or better still, I can use a shortcut. So instead of writing count is equal to count plus 1, I can have count plus equal to 1. These two things are the same thing. So this one is just a shorter version. In essence, what we're trying to do here is to increment by 1. Now let me remove this. Then I'm going to run the program. And as you can see, we have 1 to 5. So look at what happens. Initially, we initialized our count, which is our control variable, to 1. And for this loop to execute, this condition has to be true. And in this case, the current value of count is equal to 1. So in essence, we have 1 less than 6, which is true. And as such, this statement is going to execute, printing out the current value of count, which is 1. Then this is going to increment the count by 1, which is 1 plus 1, making count to be equal to 2. Now we're going to retest this condition again, and currently we have count to be equal to 2. 2 less than 6 is going to evaluate to true, and as such, we're going to print 2, increment count by 1, making count equal to 3. Then we'll retest this. 3 less than 5 is true, so we print out 3, increment by 1, making count equal to 4. Then we'll retest this condition again. 4 less than 6 is going to give us true. We'll print out 4, increment by 1, making it 4 plus 1, which is equal to 5. Then we'll retest this condition again. So 5 less than 6 is going to evaluate to true. We'll print out 5, increment by 1, making count equal to 6. And at this point, we have 6 less than 6, which evaluates to false. Because this condition evaluated to false, this loop is going to terminate. So this is basically how we write the while statements in Python. Now let's say we want to generate numbers from 0 to 10. We're going to initialize our control variable to 0. Because we want to generate numbers 0 to 10, we're going to change this to 11. Or better still, we can have 10, But instead of using the less than, we're going to use less than or equal to. Now, if we run this program, we're going to have 0 to 10. Now, let's say we want to generate even numbers from 1 to 10. I'm going to start by assigning this count to be equal to 2. Then here we have count less than or equal to 10. Instead of incrementing by 1, I'm going to increment by 2. So this is increment by 2. Now, if I run this program, I'm going to have 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, which are the even numbers between 1 and 10. Now, I'm going to be using the while loop to generate numbers in descending order. Let's say we want to generate numbers from 5 to 1. That is 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We can easily do this using the while loop. Now, for our control variable, I'm going to initialize it to 5. Here, I'm going to have my while statement. And in this case, I'm going to have while count is greater than 0. We'll print out the count. And here, I'm going to decrement instead of incrementing. So this is what I'm going to do. I'll have count is equal to count minus 1. Or better still, I can use the short form, which is count minus equal to 1. Then I'll remove this other one. If I run this program, I'm going to have numbers generated in descending order. Here we have 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So this is basically how we use the while loops in Python. While you can use the while loop for most of the operations you can do with the for loop, I think it is quite easier to use the for loop than the while loops. But there are circumstances or situations that demand that you use the while loops. For instance, when you are not sure of the number of repetitions you are going to perform, it is preferable that you use the while loop.